The time is 6 minutes past 8 and you're listening to Good Morning Scotland. The SNP's longest-serving MP has criticised a key part of Humza Yousaf's election campaign message. The First Minister called for voters to make Scotland Tory-free when they go to the polls. But Pete Wishart, who represents Perth and North Perthshire, said he won't use this rhetoric, stressing that Conservatives deserve to have their views respected. Nicola Sturgeon's former top adviser, Liz Lloyd, also described the claim as a little confusing. Well, the First Minister made the comments in a speech at the party's campaign council event in Perth on Saturday. We did invite Humza Yousaf to speak to us this morning, having spoken to the Labour and Conservative Party leaders at the time of their conferences, but we were told he was unavailable. Let's speak instead to Jamie Hepburn, who's the Scottish Government's Minister for Independence. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Gary.
This Tory-free rhetoric seems to be unravelling.
I don't think so. I think it's a very clear and straightforward message. We know people are fed up with the Conservatives in government, and no wonder. Just recently, of course, the UK economy's gone into recession. We've seen the Joseph Rowntree Foundation talking about increased levels of destitution in the UK. You've just been talking about the ludicrous, ridiculous Rwanda bill that the UK government are taking forward. And of course, we've had a Tory Brexit that we didn't vote for here in Scotland. It's time for them to go, and I think it's a very clear and straightforward message. We know that in most seats the battle is a direct one between the SNP and the Tories. People want the Tories to go. We have the chance to get rid of Tory MPs in Scotland and make Scotland Tory-free, and the way to do that is by voting SNP.
Well, in terms of trying to encourage Tory voters to come over to your side, somewhere in the region of 700,000 people voted Tory in the 2019 election. Is your message to them that they made the wrong choice, a bad choice?
Well, clearly people will want to deliberate on their own choice, but I think if we look at the opinion polls, people are already coming to the conclusion that the Tories' time is up, and if people want to get rid of the Tories, as seems to be the case from the opinion polls, and that's certainly the sense I get when I'm on the doorstep, then it's a very straightforward proposition.
But this is not about getting rid of the Tories. This is more than this. You're talking about Scotland being a Tory-free zone. So you're suggesting that those who vote Tory shouldn't have anyone to vote for?
Well, I think most people will understand that's not what we're saying. What we're saying is the opportunity to get rid of all Tory MPs in Scotland. I think most people understand that when we talk about making Scotland Tory-free, that is precisely what we're referring to.
Why should those 700,000 people be unrepresented, disenfranchised?
Well, we have an electoral system where we'll have 57 seats. We'll be electing 57 MPs, and what we're standing on is a platform we want to win all of those seats, but there's an opportunity here to make sure there are no Tory MPs in Scotland. Now, that's the system that we have. That's the opportunity we have here in Scotland, and people can achieve that by voting SNP.
Pete Wishart, your longest-serving MP, says he won't be using this rhetoric, although interestingly, about a week ago, he did put up a post with a picture saying he was campaigning in his constituency. He said he spent his birthday trying to make my country Tory-free, were the words he used. Is he being hypocritical having posted that and now saying that he won't use the rhetoric?
Well, I'm going to focus on our election campaign, and part of that message, of course, is the opportunity to make sure that we get rid of the Tories at this election.
But if your longest-serving MP says he won't use this rhetoric, are others in the same position? Are the others in the same position to disregard this central message from the party leader?
Well, look, that's going to be part of our platform. Our platform is going to be on the basis of ensuring that we return as many SNP MPs as possible, because we know that they are the people who stand up for Scotland. We know they can make achievements when we get MPs down to Westminster. It was Joanna Cherry who led the charge against Boris Johnson's disgraceful and unlawful attempts to shut down Parliament. Alison Thewlis was the person who took up and first identified the abhorrent rape clause and has been campaigning assiduously against cuts to child benefits.
But when it comes to your candidates, are you comfortable with your candidates disregarding the central message that Humza Yousaf wants them to use?
I'm comfortable with our message at this election, which
but Pete Wishart isn't. So are other candidates allowed to just disregard it if they decide that actually Humza Yousaf's wrong on this?
I'm comfortable with our message, and our message is a very clear one. The way in which we can make sure that there are no no Tory MPs after the election is by voting for the SNP at this election. Of course, that's only part of our platform. We want to return a strong slate of SNP MPs to stand up for Scotland. Was making the point about some of the things that happen when you send SNP MPs to Westminster.
Well, one of the things that doesn't happen, of course, for those who want to vote SNP is, and a majority of MPs, as you say, have been sitting at Westminster since 2016, it doesn't change the dial on independence. It doesn't move that forward as far as your supporters are concerned. Why would voting SNP this time round make any difference on that front?
Well, clearly, any time the SNP advances, it takes the cause of independence forward. I don't think that can be denied.
In what way has the cause of independence moved since 2016?
I beg pardon, Gary?
In what way has the cause of independence moved since 2016?
Answering your last question, could you say again?
And in what way has the cause of independence moved forward since 2016?
Well, you only need to look at the opinion polls, Gary. The independence is frequently ahead in the opinion polls, certainly running 50-50. So we're in a very strong position. That only happens when the SNP advances the case and makes the case, and will continue to seek to win that case.
But in what way has the cause been moved forward? Yes, maybe more people support it, but is independence any closer now than it was in 2016?
Well, if more people are supporting it, I would make the point that would bring us closer to winning independence.
In what way does it bring it closer?
Certainly the counterpoint would be the case. If the SNP don't perform as well at this election, then that's not going to be helping the cause for independence. And that is part of our platform. So, yes, of course, we're standing on the basis of providing people the opportunity to make sure we have no Tory MPs. In Scotland, we're also standing on the basis to make sure that we have a strong platform, a strong slate of SNP MPs who'll stand up for Scotland, who'll advance some of the issues that I was referring to. And yes, of course, line 1, page 1 of our manifesto is that a vote for the SNP is a vote for Scotland to become an independent country. If we win a majority of seats, we'll engage with the UK government to put that into democratic effect. That's the position we've laid out.
So, just to be clear here, because there's been some confusion over how voting SNP achieves independence in this Westminster election, because previously we were told it was a majority of votes, and then potentially now it's a majority of seats. How, if people vote SNP, will you deliver independence after this election?
Well, there should be no confusion. We had a full debate at our party conference on the issue of independence, and we came to a position that where we secure a majority of MPs at this election, we'll then seek to put that into democratic effect. Now, there are various ways in which that can happen. That can involve us seeking to have another referendum, or it can involve us engaging with the UK government to put it into democratic effect in another way. But the fundamental point, of course, is that we seek to advance the case, to win that case. We have a strong case because it's only with independence that we can rejoin the European Union. It's only with independence that we can aspire to be like the other countries that are like Scotland around us, roughly the same size as Scotland, that are happier, fairer, wealthier, more productive, more decent societies than we have here in the UK. It's only through independence we can achieve that type of society. So we'll make the case at the election and we'll seek to win.
On a point of clarification, the opinion polls suggest that your party could be on course to lose seats here. So ultimately what you're saying is that you could potentially half the number of seats, but if you come out, let's say, one more than your next nearest opposition, that would give you a mandate to start discussions on independence.
Well, the UK election model's very clear. You win a majority of seats, then you have got a mandate for your case, and you should be able to put that into effect.
But your party's won a majority of seats at the last three elections, the last three Westminster elections, and nothing has happened.
Sorry, Gary, please say again.
Well, your party has won the majority of seats at the last three elections at Westminster, yet nothing has happened on independence.
We're standing on a very clear platform, clearer than it's probably ever been. Line 1, page 1 of our manifesto, a vote for the SNPs, a vote for Scotland to become an independent country. If we secure a majority of seats, that will be a mandate, and that should be respected.
Jamie Hepburn, thank you very much for speaking to us this morning, the Scottish Government's Minister for Independence.